Well, good morning, everyone. Hope you're having a great start to your Wednesday so far. We've obviously started off on a bit of a red note across the crypto market again. A lot of people have PTSD. We're seeing a little bit of profit taking. That's not really surprising. We tend to see that on some of these rallies. And in fact, we've been retesting the bottom of our structure now that we're back within that big descending channel like we were talking about. But I do want to discuss actually something that may have helped us moving into December that took place yesterday. Do need to talk about institutional money because we're again getting a very consistent trend here. Also need to discuss some development things on the Cardano side that are getting us a step closer to this final iteration. So if you guys are new or haven't already, show your support for the channel down below. But let's go ahead and dive right into this because yesterday was a red day. It was actually really red kind of earlier on. A lot of people were complaining and whining, and we saw a drop following the PPI report initially, but then we actually began to climb as the day progressed because this report actually came in pretty much on expectations. We were slightly elevated in terms of PPI, and we were slightly below expectations in terms of core PPI. And why that's so important is, if you guys remember, we had discussed at length that report that was super hot, that came out of left field, that surprised the crypto market. This wasn't that. And so what this now is doing is, again, getting us that much closer to an interest rate decrease in the month of December, which is something that the market does not have priced in right now, that a lot of people are still thinking isn't coming. And I wish I could show the likelihood here, but the service is currently unavailable. But what we're watching is this ticking closer and closer and closer because the data is supporting an interest rate decrease. Now, the Waller actually came out and said that January's rate decrease is kind of in question right now. But December was the one that, if you guys remember, Jerome Powell last he spoke, he said, oh yeah, December is not a certainty at all. That's the last time the market kind of shit the bed. It's the last time the market kind of freaked out. And right now, that fear that's still in the market basically shouldn't be there because that's what's going to happen in December. We're going to get an interest rate decrease. Now, that being said, let's talk about a few other things here. We did, in fact, see BTC, again, retest structure here. We're seeing ADA retest structure. We're getting actually a hanging man candle. For those that aren't familiar, that is a bearish reversal candle. So just understand within ADA structure right now, we're fine, but we could in fact test some of those prices that we saw a couple days ago down around 40 cents or so. We could retest this structure down at about 39.50. That's all still within the cards. And again, it's very difficult to determine what it's going to look like heading through a holiday. Holidays are always weird. They make the market do weird things. In fact, volume across the crypto market is pretty darn low. 133 billion over the last 24 hours. That's not a big day. All right. Despite the volatility in the morning, didn't really translate to much as the day progressed. We're still seeing a lot of hesitance in terms of the capital in the space, in terms of re-entering assets. And that's not surprising. So many people are uncertain. We're still in kind of this area of extreme fear right now. And frankly, the market shouldn't be, but that's where it's at, right? Now, that being said, despite that fear, what's happening is institutional money is yet again buying. We actually saw institutional accumulation on the BTC and Ethereum side. I think actually on pretty much every single asset we saw accumulation taking place. So you have these large institutions and enterprises that are actively buying the dip and taking advantage of the prices that are here. And it's not really surprising. Now, that being said, we could actually be on the verge of seeing the first week since all the way back in February. Since all the way back in February, we had actual exchange inflows taking place where the net flows were in fact positive, where people were sending their assets to exchanges to dump them. That being said, it's not surprising that some people are selling. Some people are capitulating and dumping their bags. And that's because we're around, quote unquote, the historic top. And again, I actually want to talk about this a lot more in another video because there was a lot of information that I found. It's going to take a little while to break it down. But what this is typically leads to is when we get these big, or not even big, when we get these exchange inflow weeks, it tends to lead to large exchange outflows, right? So that's at least a promising sign. You could call that my positive spin, if you will. But last time we saw a big exchange inflow, we saw a huge outflow the following week. Here we go. Inflow led to huge outflows, right? So you guys get the point there. Now, in terms of the Cardano ecosystem itself, input-output advances Laos closer to integration, progressing its technical design, testing strategy, and roadmap towards real-world deployment. Work continues on node-to-client interfaces. Laos scales with demand, flattening near 200 to 1,000 TPS. So this is a nice advancement for the again, Cardano ecosystem. This is, again, where we're we're kind of so far ahead of the curve and we're preparing for, again, the big adoption stuff. Right now, that's not taking place. It's pretty quiet throughout the space. It's boring as hell. I get it. But you continue to want to see these steps forward while things are boring, while there's nothing going on. And that's what Cardano continues to do. So that's all I got for you guys. We'll obviously see what the day brings. We're supposed to get PC data this morning. We're supposed to get initial jobless claims this morning. Again, this is part of that 48 hours that people tried to chew me apart on. Guys, this is big data that, again, is going to weigh into that interest rate decision come December. And right now, it's looking pretty good. We're waiting for the market to reflect it. So I appreciate you guys. I hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know your thoughts below, but have a great day. Catch you guys in the next one. Take care.